everyone, this is Jasmine, and I am recording this bonus episode as I'm commuting to a consulting job that I have. One of the greatest things I think that really shocks me is the amount of growth I've had, but then like some of the cool things that I'm doing now since I've kind of taken that leap of faith, kind of jumped off that cliff and realizing that the wings will grow as I'm falling down into an area of unknown. But it was like one of the greatest things. Sorry about that. One of the greatest things I decided to do. I'm so happy I did. So one of the cool things that I have the privilege of doing is I work with the JOCS initiative, which is associated with the Mid-Atlantic AIDS Education Training Center. It's associated with the University of Maryland School of Medicine. So I'm on my way to educate people who are at risk for HIV or were recently diagnosed with HIV, or maybe working with a population that has a high risk of HIV and Hep C. So I wanted to talk about this topic because this has been one of the most difficult things for me to understand, to work through, and to really put myself first. And let me tell you something. I honestly, as I'm really doing like some really deep self-reflection, the decisions I've made with keeping toxic people in my life or takers in my life have been all because I've had an issue with self-worth. Really, that's what it boils down to. Because here's the thing. If you value yourself, if you know your worth, you wouldn't tolerate bullshiggity from people who are, taking, do nothing to support you. They do nothing to help you advance to your goals, and yet they still come back to you when they want something. And because you're a giver and you're always giving and you look beyond just, the surface, not really the surface level, because if you were looking beyond the surface level, then you would see where they're deeply rooted. I would guess you're looking at things on the surface and you're listening to what they're saying, and it sounds good, but their actions are totally not in alignment with what they're saying. So I have been in situations like that, and I want to talk about that with you all, because it just, when you are branching out with career satisfaction, reaching your goals, one of the key things that people fail to talk about, they fail to mention the fact that as you are going up in your career, as you are branching out and reaching out for things, you also need to have your mastermind group. These are people that you are close with, that are on the same path, same journey as you, that support you 100%. I've had some people, and it's been very, very hard, where I have consistently supported them, been a listening ear, although it was never something that was for me, been betrayed by people who I considered to be, I thought they were my friend, and that they were supporting me, but then you hear contrary. And yet these people feel comfortable enough to contact me and ask me for something, whether that is to consult with them for free, for business advice, or to ask whatever question it is that they can rightly find out for themselves. But these people still come into my life still asking for things, and then I had to ask myself, what is it? What pattern am I setting? What standard am I setting where people feel comfortable enough to do that? Because obviously it's not them, it's me. What environment or what message am I sending in my relationships that it's okay for you to not support me, to not, if we're so-called calling ourselves very good friends, not support me, or it's being a one-way relationship? Why am I setting the bar and saying that's okay? So if you find yourself in situations like that, you've got to understand that you can't level up, or you can't really reach that level until you really take that time to figure out, are there distractions, not just in your workflow, but distractions in your relationships? Are there distractions with that? Are there people that you're finding that are sucking you dry of everything, and then you go back in your corner and you're resentful? You're like, well, why isn't this person like so and so? You know, and you're hurt. So it's like, hello, why are you allowing that? So really, what I'm trying to really encourage you all is to consider accountability. One, accountability with yourself, and understand that you can't control people's actions. However, you can control how you react to it, and you can also control who you allow in your space. And it's okay to say, hey, I'm not answering that text. I'm done. This chapter, I'm closing it. I've actually had to close chapters even with family members, because you know what? You are the only person that's in control of your peace. I've had a very tumultuous, kind of like rocky back and forth relationship with my father, who I have forgiven. And this last incident in my life, which I'm not really ready to talk about because I'm not completely free of some of the pain. And one of the things I've learned from Brene Brown is, don't talk about something until you absolutely have mastered the emotion and the feeling and the experience that you've gone through. And so I'm not totally there, but this last instance of a situation with my father where he didn't come through, once again evoked all of these emotions of the wanting to have, you know, your parent at your graduations or at important events, and they say that they would come and they don't show up. Those feelings of abandonment surfaced again, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in my 30s and I feel like I'm taken back into my childhood with this particular situation. So I said to myself, you know what, Jasmine, it's okay for you now to set boundaries, because you are trying to create a legacy of which, where you interact with people, you touch them, you impact them, you share your love with those who want it. If people don't want it, you've got to close that chapter. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be courteous or respectful or professional or loving, because that the essence of love needs to be within you at all times to really have that true happiness. That's okay, but it's okay to set that boundary too with family members. And so I've had to make that decision, not just with professional relationships, but also with family members. So, you know, when we talk about career satisfaction, most people just want, and I see this from emails or what have you, most people just want, oh, what's the A to Z so I can become a speaker? And what's the A to Z for me to become a corporate professional? Like, how do I get there? What do I need to do specifically? Who do I need to speak to? But boo-boo, you may not even be there because you've got all this other stuff handling. Even if you were to be blessed with an opportunity, you may not even be ready for it, which is why Beyond the Prophy is so much different than some of these other entities out there that are like really big, very, very big on, you know, you give us $5,000, we'll get you to where you need to be. You know what I'm saying? It's about holistically looking at everything about you, from what is your feelings of self-worth, dealing with fear, being confident in who you are. All of those things are things that we're tackling in the Beyond the Prophy membership site. And this is one of them, you know, this is one. Getting rid of some of these relationships that are not benefiting us. What good is it? Why are you hanging on? Ask yourself, why are you hanging on? Are you so desperate that you're willing to deal with 2% of attention than the 100% that you deserve? Are you that desperate? Girl, bye. There are so many amazing people out there that will love you for you and that will appreciate what you have to do. And granted, let me also let you know too, if you're an entrepreneur, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to do stuff in your state, don't expect the people that are in their state to support you. It's going to be very, very few. I was told this from another entrepreneur, and I have found that to be very, very true. So I'm going to suggest, don't sit out and wait for people in your state to be following and flocking and saying, oh, you're so amazing, especially the ones that you were close with, because they may not even understand your journey and what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? They may be your hypocrites, the one, or not the hypocrites, but the ones who are telling you can't. So a lot of the support I've built with people have been some people who I've been friends with for over 10 years. And if you have one of those people, you are blessed. And then I have some friends who I consider in my mastermind group that I reach out to that don't live in my state, that don't have any insecurities, they don't have any judgments, they don't have any fears about you being successful as a person, none of that, because they are secure with themselves. And so you'll find also that sometimes those toxic and negative relationships that you want to remove from you are because you're dealing with insecure people. And insecure people and people that are unhappy are people that are really for themselves. They're going to be takers. They're not really going to be supporting you. They're really not going to do anything to really help you in your journey. And let me add this one final point here that I want to make clear. Ain't nobody owe you nothing. Nobody owes you nothing. Nobody owes you a like. Nobody has to share your stuff that you put up there. Nobody has to even support you. Because at the end of it all, the end of the day, you know what is the most important thing? Is you. How confident are you in what you're doing? How confident are you in the mission and values that you have and what you're trying to bring to this profession of dentistry? How confident are you? Because nobody owes you nothing. You know what I'm saying? So just keep that in mind. Hang tight. I hope you enjoy this episode. And I'm going to be talking with you guys more regularly, putting out some bonus episodes here. Just, real talk about, some of the things that I've noticed. And I just hope that you found something here that you can use today. Alrighty. Peace.